This chapter does not exist, sadly. Let's proceed to the next chapter. This chapter does not exist, sadly. Let's proceed to the next chapter. Vol 2, Chapter 1447, The Dark Seed. Anakin Skywalker returned to the Jedi Temple in a daze, barely aware of his surroundings. It was as if he was moving on autopilot. As he entered the temple gates, he was greeted by the former leader of the Jedi Knights, Master Shaak Ti. She approached him with a concerned expression, placing her hand gently on his forehead. A soothing wave of the Force washed over him, bringing a semblance of clarity to his fogged mind. "You are finally back, Anakin. I've been very worried about you," Shaak Ti said, her voice filled with relief. "It appears you're unharmed, which is fortunate. Confronting a Sith Lord is no small matter." "I'm sorry, Master Shaak Ti. I can't," Anakin began, his voice laden with sorrow. "It's not your fault, Anakin," Shaak Ti reassured him, patting his shoulder. "But I must ask, have you seen Master Yoda? Even if it's the worst-case scenario, we need to know." Anakin sighed warily. "Master Yoda, he failed, but he's not dead. I just don't know where he is now. And Sidious is unaware of his whereabouts as well." Shaak Ti frowned, concern etching deeper into her features. She wanted to press further but hesitated, ultimately deciding to let Anakin retreat to his dormitory to rest. Alone in his room, Anakin sat on his bed, staring blankly at the white ceiling. Memories flooded his mind. His kind mother, Shmi Skywalker, preparing simple meals. Qui-Gon Jinn, who was like a father figure. Padme Amidala, radiant as an angel. Obi-Wan Kenobi, who was always there like a brother. And the vibrant Ahsoka Tano. He remembered his friend Jax Pawan, Master CC-Teen, with whom he'd discuss fighter jet modifications. And Master Yoda, always so full of wisdom. Even the mischievous, dreamy sisters who filled the air with their laughter seemed to visit him in his thoughts. These voices, some laughing, some teaching, and some debating, echoed in his ears. He even imagined Master Qui-Gon Jinn reaching out to him, saying, "You have grown up, Anakin." But as Anakin reached back, everything vanished. He was alone again, just as he had been for more than a decade. "I just wanted to protect everyone," Anakin whispered to himself, realizing now how he had failed to protect even a single person. Lost in his thoughts, Anakin eventually fell into a deep, restless sleep. The next day, he was jolted awake by a series of loud knocks on his door. Opening it, he found himself facing a group of over a dozen Jedi Knights, all wearing expressions of accusation and distrust. Among them were several who had been vocal critics in recent times. "Anakin, you owe us an explanation. Why did Sith Lord Darth Sidious summon you alone?" one of them demanded. "And how did you return unscathed from a confrontation with a Sith Lord? What exactly happened between you and Darth Sidious?" another added, his tone sharp. Anakin's face darkened, and a surge of anger welled up inside him. "I have no agreement with Darth Sidious. He summoned me in his capacity as the Speaker of the Republic, nothing more. He is a Sith Lord, a beacon of evil that has cast a shadow over the entire galaxy. Did the teachings of the Jedi Order mean nothing to you? How can you justify the existence of such a Sith Lord?" One of the knights accused. "To uphold the light, you should have struck him down," another knight chimed in aggressively. "Yet, not only did you fail to do so, but he also spared you. What does that tell us, Anakin?" The confrontation escalated, with accusations flying and tensions rising. Anakin stood his ground, struggling to contain his growing frustration and anger. The seeds of darkness, once planted, were now beginning to sprout, threatening to engulf him completely. Any harm? How can a Jedi Knight still fight with the Sith Lord? Is everything truly safe and sound? You must clarify this matter. "I see anger in you and a hint of darkness, Anakin. You shouldn't," said an elder warrior with a tone of concern. Anakin Skywalker felt as if something exploded in his head, a buzzing noise overwhelming his senses. His eyes turned red as he leaped up and roared, "Kill him! Why don't you do it yourself? Isn't he right there in the Parliament building? If you despise him so much, go and kill him yourself. Standing here and accusing me, do you call that being on the side of light? He is the Speaker of the Republic. If we kill him, what will become of the Republic? What will happen to this war? What about the Separatists? Have you even considered the consequences? No, you haven't. Your judgment has been clouded by your so-called righteousness." "How dare you speak like that, Anakin? It seems Master Windu was right. You were too old when you joined the Jedi Order. You are not fit to be a Jedi Knight, retorted a warrior, standing firm against Anakin's outburst. Whether I am fit to be a Jedi Knight is not for you to decide. What have you done while I've been out there, fighting for the Jedi, for the Galactic Republic, and bravely facing our enemies? Who has been more involved in the battle than me? Who has lost more than I have? I have sacrificed everything for this war. Everything. Anakin yelled, his voice filled with hysteria. Enough, Anakin. A commanding female voice intervened. Shaak Ti, accompanied by Coleman Cage and the few remaining members of the Jedi Council, approached swiftly. She glanced at the warriors with a look of displeasure and coldly said, "And you, is this how Master Yoda taught you to behave, aggressively challenging others? Go to the confinement room immediately for your punishment. All of you." The warriors, though visibly reluctant and still bearing rebellious expressions, complied with Shaak Ti, the current leader of the Jedi Knights, and turned to head towards the confinement room. Shaak Ti took a deep breath, shook her head, and then addressed Anakin. "Come with me, Anakin. We have much to discuss." Anakin nodded and followed Shaak Ti to a reading room. Once seated, Shaak Ti didn't waste any time and began. The departure of Master Windu and the emergence of the Blood Warriors have already signaled a division within the Jedi Order, an inevitable split. Throughout the history of the Jedi Knights, there have always been divisions between radicals and those advocating for peace. The Jedi Covenant that appeared 4,000 years ago is one such example. But she locked eyes with Anakin, continuing, "This is not the way of the light. Such extremism is doomed to fail. In these challenging times, we must hold on to our convictions, to the light within our hearts. Master Yoda has taught us time and again that perseverance is the most challenging task in the universe. Giving in is easy, only for a moment." Anakin nodded, sighing. "I was wrong earlier, Master Shaak Ti. I let anger take over." "It's good that you recognize this, Anakin," Shaak Ti replied. "Facing a Sith Lord and managing to control your impulses and anger is indeed very challenging." Anakin looked down, contemplating her words. Shaak Ti then asked, "Despite the difficulties, the current situation is critical. Can you tell me what happened?" Anakin began. "Palpatine revealed himself as Darth Sidious, but couldn't take any action against him. He's also the Speaker of the Galactic Republic, and there's another, a Sith Lord, who might be even more dangerous." He then recounted his conversation with Palpatine, omitting certain details he preferred to keep from Shaak Ti, such as those about his mother. After a long moment of reflection, Shaak Ti finally spoke. The notion of tolerating a Sith Lord as the Speaker of the Galactic Republic was intolerable. The galaxy was already suffering, and allowing this to continue would only bring further harm. Anakin Skywalker's tone grew colder as he addressed the issue. "But if we don't take action, we won't be able to defeat the Separatists. Will the division of the Outer Rim territories continue?" he questioned. Shaak Ti, taken aback, frowned. "So, you agree with him? With a Sith Lord?" she asked, clearly not expecting this perspective. "This war is filled with contradictions, Master Shaak Ti," Anakin explained. "I don't resent the soldiers who questioned me earlier. It's only on the front lines that the full extent of these contradictions becomes clear." He clenched his fist, a gesture of determination. The continuation of this war will only bring more suffering and pain. Yet, to win, we find ourselves forced to act against our principles. Looking up, Anakin continued, "I have taken many lives, Master Shaak Ti. Many. And to end this war, I may have to take even more." Darth Sidious, as both the Sith Lord and the Speaker of the Republic, presents us with a difficult choice. As Speaker, he has made significant contributions to our war efforts. How else could we have resisted the Separatists? He sighed deeply, the weight of his thoughts evident. "I wanted to kill him, truly, Master Shaak Ti. He was vulnerable, and I could have ended his life with a single strike. But what then? The administrative core of the Republic would descend into chaos, and the policies that have been effective in the war would fall by the wayside. Our recent gains might be lost, and in the end, would we not have caused even more suffering for those already devastated by this war?" Shaak Ti posed a thought-provoking question. "What if he were no longer the Speaker? Would you kill him then?" Anakin frowned, lost in thought, but offered no answer. Shaak Ti managed a strained smile. "I understand. You should rest now," Anakin. Meanwhile, Zhang Jiahui found himself in a state-of-the-art laboratory, its vastness and luxury hard to believe, especially given its location on the industrial star of Kuat, where space was at a premium. The remnants of the Thor mech he once piloted were being repaired by engineering robots in a nearby lab. Zhang Jiahui was idly working at a terminal that still employed the design of the Fourth Civilization, complete with its unique operating system. This alone was a testament to the Kuat Drive Yard's influence and resources. The Galactic Republic had long sought the technology of the Fourth Civilization, but successes were few. Yet, the Kuat Drive Yards had managed to acquire a complete terminal and operating system, a significant achievement even if it wasn't the latest model. With no other option, Zhang Jiahui began to provide the Kuat technicians with the technical information they desired about Thor's mech. However, he was cautious, choosing to share not the technology of the current extractor cannon, but that of the original version of the extractor. This technology, initially obtained by Severance Tan from a Wookiee research base on the Alaris satellite, was technically property of the Galactic Republic, making its disclosure less problematic. Besides, the Fourth Civilization's research on extractors had far surpassed this initial technology. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that request. Chapter 1448, Breaking Out of Prison, Part 1. Zhang Jiahui meticulously penned a series of complex formulas, which the engineer from Quarter Power Shipyard, standing by, eagerly accepted as if they were invaluable treasures. They then began to deliberate over these formulas, occasionally approaching Zhang Jiahui with professional inquiries. The demeanor of these engineers and scientists was exceedingly polite, bordering on reverence, likely a result of directives from Little Quarter. Remarkably, they did not regard him as a prisoner in the slightest. Zhang Jiahui could discern that each engineer was a leading talent in their field. By the standards often cited years ago in the Fourth Civilization, they were at least at the master level, if not higher. He realized that the Fourth Civilization's technological superiority over the Galactic Republic was largely due to their ability to build upon the achievements of giants. Indeed, their advancements were the culmination of technology developed throughout the Milky Way, surviving through 3 cataclysmic events. This realization reignited Zhang Jiahui's determination. After days of feeling somewhat listless, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. He couldn't afford to falter here. During his work, an engineer from Quarter approached him, pointing out a potential error in one of the formulas. Upon review, Zhang Jiahui noticed the minor mistake, which he had intentionally included, but was surprised it had been caught. With a smile, he claimed it was a mere typographical error, thanked the engineer for the correction, and then, with a literal twist, sent the puzzled engineer on his way. Back in his laboratory, Zhang Jiahui pondered his escape. Despite considering countless strategies over the past few days, none seemed feasible. The industrial star ring of Kuat was heavily fortified. Even from his laboratory's porthole, he could see a dual-purpose air-to-ship quadruple-mounted rapid-fire turbolaser. After much deliberation, his gaze settled on the colossal wreckage of Thor's mecha in the corner of the laboratory. He returned to his computer and feverishly began to jot down numerous formulas, algorithms, and innovative ideas. Technology, as commonly understood, refers to the products of technological advancement, underpinned by a complex system of interconnected branches. Zhang Jiahui, however, was just one man, devoid of any external resources. Little Quarter had tasked him with documenting the technological insights of Thor and the extractor cannon, seeking his design philosophies and critical formulas. The engineers of Kuat would handle the rest. Zhang Jiahui worked tirelessly at the terminal, drafting engineering blueprints and recording a plethora of design formulas. After an all-nighter, he submitted his findings to the engineer and retired to bed. The next morning, he was abruptly awakened by a communication alert. Activating the communicator, he was greeted by the holographic projection of Little Quarter, whose effeminate face bore an expression of irritation and impatience. "You'd better not be playing games, Dr. Zhang Jiahui. Your actions could jeopardize your promising future," Little Quarter warned darkly. "Remember, the line between untold riches and a lifetime in the shadows is exceedingly thin. Do not forget who you are." "I don't recall offending you," Zhang Jiarui responded, feigning innocence. The designs you submitted yesterday are riddled with errors and omissions. They're so extensive that my engineers are struggling to make sense of them. Are you mocking us? Little Quarter accused, his tone icy. That's impossible. Show me the data. Zhang Jiarui demanded, his voice rising. Don't think you can deceive me. Zhang Jiarui, with a pair of small glasses perched awkwardly on his nose, scrutinized the data he had scribbled down the previous day. Despite its numerous inaccuracies and gaps, he defended, there are indeed many mistakes, but they're not as catastrophic as you claim. Given that I'm relying solely on memory without access to my scientific research terminal, perfection is unattainable. Little Kuat, barely containing his frustration, retorted, Are you suggesting I orchestrate a heist to retrieve your terminal from the Dawnstar Research Center? If I could pull that off, why would I need you? Zhang Jiarui, undeterred, proposed a solution. If you could provide me with some assistance, I could conduct hands-on measurements on that wreckage. That would ensure the accuracy of my findings. Little Kuat, suppressing his irritation, agreed. I'll arrange for the necessary support. Your collaborators will arrive shortly. Remember, if you can decipher the energy mechanism behind the Thor mech's weaponry, you'll be freed from captivity and appointed as the senior technical director at Kuat Power Shipyard. And if you crack the secrets of the ultra-long-range laser cannon, you'll be at the heart of Kuat's empire. No one in this galaxy offers a reward as substantial as this. Those simpletons at Dawnstar can't even compete, so don't disappoint me. As Little Kuat ended the communication, Zhang Jiarui's gaze turned icy. You're mistaken, Kuat. The stakes Dawnstar is willing to bet are beyond your reach, he thought to himself. Within minutes, the laboratory door swung open, and a group of Kuat engineers entered, offering their polite introductions and readiness to assist Zhang Jiarui in any way necessary. Standing before the colossal wreckage of the Thor mech, which even in its ruined state towered over 10 meters tall, Zhang Jiarui felt a mix of awe and determination. This is the Thor mecha, a cutting-edge prototype from Tyron Heavy Industries designed for Dawnstar. It's a super-heavy weapon platform intended to deliver fortress-level firepower and provide maximum support and precision strikes to frontline units. He explained as he energetically scaled the wreckage to reach the pilot's cabin about 10 meters off the ground. From this vantage point, the mech seemed like a steel mountain. The mech's most formidable weapon, capable of obliterating Cheer-class assault landing ships, is what we call Thor's sword. Zhang Jiarui hesitated, realizing the original name might reveal the project's connection to the Galactic Republic's Lost Secret initiative. He quickly fabricated a new name, finding it unexpectedly fitting. Once I return, I'll make sure to rename the project to Thor's Sword, he mused. Without pausing, he covertly tore a piece of skin under his armpit and extracted a chip hidden within, the chip of General Kalani. The engineers, concerned for his safety, called out, "Don't climb so high. It's too dangerous. We should construct a scaffold for support." Zhang Jiarui, focused on his mission, barely acknowledged their caution. He knew the risks, but understood the importance of his task. The fate of Dawnstar, and perhaps the galaxy, depended on his ability to unlock the secrets of the Thor mech and its formidable weapon, now dubbed Thor's Sword. Zhang Jiarui, a quintessential engineer with a rare blend of physical strength and technical expertise, often joked about his intimate knowledge of the mecha he had painstakingly assembled. "Ha ha ha! It's fine! I built this mecha bolt by bolt. No one knows it better than I do," he laughed heartily. Despite the vulnerability of the human armpit, Zhang Jiarui's reaction to tearing off a piece of his skin was far from ordinary. Instead of succumbing to tears, he laughed it off, though a bead of cold sweat betrayed his discomfort. He skillfully extracted General Kalani's chip and concealed it within a secret compartment in the cockpit of the Thor mecha. "Let me tell you, I was so dedicated to this mecha that I even slept in the cockpit. Haha, look, here's a piece of my sleeping bag that survived the fire." Zhang Jiarui said, pulling out a charred fragment of fabric to show them. However, his moment of pride was short-lived as he suddenly slipped and fell from the Thor mecha, landing with a heavy thud. The fall left him with multiple lacerations from the mecha's jagged wreckage, bleeding profusely. "Be careful! Quick, summon a medical robot," the quad engineers exclaimed, rushing to his aid. A medical robot arrived promptly, and an engineer briefed it on Zhang Jiarui's injuries, emphasizing the need for immediate treatment. Roger, the robot acknowledged. Despite the dramatic fall, Zhang Jiarui had managed to minimize his injuries by planning his descent and avoiding the larger metal fragments. This strategic thinking underscored the importance of his well-developed physique, which could withstand injuries that would be fatal to the less robust engineers of Kuat. Fortunately, the advanced medical technology available to Kuat Power Dockyard made short work of Zhang Jiarui's injuries. Utilizing top-tier back-to-liquid and stem cell repair technology, he was back on his feet in no time. However, this was not the pinnacle of medical technology Zhang Jiarui had experienced. Previously, he had used a dagger to implant the chip under his armpit and then healed the incision in under 2 minutes with a nanomedical beam, a technology developed by Tyron Heavy Industries, not affiliated with the more commonly known Umbrella Pharmaceutical Group. Tyron Heavy Industries, known for its battlefield medical technology, was also developing a medical mech based on the CMC-300 power armor, incorporating the same nanomedical beam technology. Over the next 2 days, Zhang Jiarui dedicated himself to guiding the engineers through the repair of the Thor mecha. He took the opportunity to explain the advanced technologies employed in the mecha's design. Little Quat, observing Zhang Jiarui's enthusiastic and detailed explanations, was impressed by his dedication and expertise. Zhang Jiarui's muscular frame, glistening with sweat as he worked, underscored his commitment to the project, earning him high regard from Engineer Quat. Jiarui's exceptional knowledge and bold personality quickly made him a favorite among the engineers. During breaks, he would invite them for drinks, and in no time, they became friends. Leveraging this newfound camaraderie, Jiarui suggested the idea of deploying a few engineering robots to assist with the mech repairs. The engineers, seeing the potential benefit, agreed. The very next day, several engineering robots were introduced to the repair site, significantly speeding up their work. A day later, Jiarui concocted an excuse to visit the mecha's energy core compartment, a section where the outer frame had not yet been constructed. The engineers, concerned for his safety, cautioned him to tread carefully to avoid any accidents. However, Jiarui's insistence on inspecting the energy core module was not without reason. He had previously led them to repair the front weapon system, knowing well that the energy core compartment lacked an outer frame. Asserting the critical nature of the energy core's design and the need to assess any damage, he took an engineering robot and made his way into the compartment. Once inside, and certain they were out of the surveillance camera's view, a sly smirk crossed Jiarui's face. He navigated from the energy core compartment towards the pilot's cabin, aware of a pipeline that facilitated this passage. Stealthily, he reached behind the cockpit and retrieved the concealed General Kalani chip. At that moment, the engineering robot caught up but was immediately powered down by Jiarui, who then skillfully opened its head to install General Kalani's chip. Upon rebooting, the robot turned its head and stated, "The body is incompatible, requiring time to rewrite the operating system. I am unable to work currently, and it is advisable to halt today's activities." Jiarui nodded in agreement, exited the energy core compartment, and then, with a sense of accomplishment, invited the engineers for another round of drinks. Note: due to recent issues with text encoding, we are motivated to update more frequently. Please switch off reading mode to support us. Remember to bookmark our website .goshu.com for easy access in the future, or simply search Bikoshu on Baidu to find us. Vol 2, Chapter 449. Sad Adele Zhang Jiarui gathered the quad engineers together, surprising them since their workday had just begun. Dr. Zhang Jiarui, isn't it a bit early to go drinking? One of the engineers asked cautiously. Standing in front of Zhang Jiarui, a towering figure nearly 1.9 meters tall, weighing over 240 kilograms and all muscle, it was hard for them not to feel intimidated. That's right, I've just noticed signs of collapse in the energy core chamber. We need engineering robots for support work, and the outer structure needs reinforcement. Let the robots handle it. Come on, let's go drink. Ha ha ha! Zhang Jiarui boomed with laughter. He ushered the engineers into a restaurant, where he lavished them with an array of exquisite dishes and fine wines, quickly getting them intoxicated. From a distance, little Kuat watched Zhang Jiarui through a monitor, his brow furrowed in slight disapproval of Zhang Jiarui's crude behavior. However, he felt a sense of satisfaction deep down. Zhang Jiarui's apparent indulgence in pleasures made little Kuat believe he was close to having complete control over him. Meanwhile, as Zhang Jiarui and the engineers were toasting, inside Thor's mecha's energy core compartment, an engineering robot equipped with General Kalani's chip sat quietly, its mechanical eyes blinking rapidly. The next day, Zhang Jiarui headed straight to Thor's mecha, where several engineering robots were at work. As he passed by one of the robots, it whispered to him, "This is the industrial star ring of planet Kuat. Escape is impossible without external help. You need to buy us time and avoid any rash actions. I require some preparation and more control over our surroundings." Zhang Jiarui responded with a nod and tapped Thor's mecha shell twice with a wrench to signal his understanding. To buy time, he had a plan. He intended to install the original version of the extractor on Thor's mecha wreckage and repair it to some extent. Even with the help of engineering robots, this task would take at least a week. He decided not to tamper with the extractor's technology to avoid raising little Kuat's suspicions. The engineers from Kuat had demonstrated their competence, and their keen eyes would not be easily deceived. Now, the priority was to use the extractor's technology as a bargaining chip to buy time. In the western region of the Milky Way, on the core planet of the fourth civilization, Dawn Planet, a beautiful young girl with a hint of youthfulness busily processed a mountain of documents in her spacious and luxurious office. "Susan, review this immigration plan for me. It seems too ambitious. Moving 20 million people at once? We can't ensure adequate supplies for all of them." "Mary, I need a relocation plan for the interstellar shipyard as soon as possible. This month, we're moving at least 10 shipyards towards the Kuna star cluster to establish a new industrial zone. By next month, I want to see the construction of the first Victory-class star destroyer begin in the Kuna star cluster." Is this the total supply delivery for this month? Have our navigation experts calculate the hyperspace fluctuations of our secret channel immediately. We need to confirm if we're utilizing this channel to its fullest. Above all, we must guarantee the material supply on planet Lundili. Otherwise, we risk a rebellion. This diligent girl was none other than Adele Ulan, the daughter of the Rendili Interstellar Power Company's CEO and the acting executive director. She was deeply engrossed in discussions with her secretary and assistant, striving to manage the vast responsibilities of her position. Adele Ulan found herself grappling with the immense challenge of managing a mountain of governmental affairs. As a young woman, it was premature for her to delve into these matters directly. Consequently, she often relied heavily on her assistant's opinions before making decisions. Despite the potential for a life of luxury, her marriage to Tang Xiao, which reduced her to little more than a tool, shattered the world around her. Unwilling to be merely decorative, Adele was determined to prove her worth, not for Tang Xiao, whom she scarcely knew, but for herself. Adele was acutely aware that Tang Xiao was a difficult man to please, one who measured a person's value as if weighing it on a scale. She understood that without demonstrating her worth, the titles of Tang Xiao's wife or the executive director of Lundili Interstellar Power Company would do little to secure her status. Thus, she devised a plan to wield a power entirely her own, distinct from the Lundili Interstellar Power Company. Although she held the title of executive director, the company was effectively under the control of her grandfather, Bangira Ulan. This title was initially intended as a bargaining chip in dealings with Tang Xiao. Despite the uncertain success of her grandfather's plan, the Lundili Interstellar Power Company, having recently joined the Fourth Civilization, maintained a significant degree of independence. Officially, it was part of the Confederation of Independent Galaxies, but it was clear that Bangira Ulan's allegiance was to Tang Xiao. The alliance between Lundili and Dawn Star was already a reality. Adele's ambition was to leverage the relocation of planet Lundili to gradually redirect resources into her own control, thereby establishing her direct capital. With a population exceeding 600 billion and more than 3,600 interstellar docks, Lundili's defection from the Galactic Republic necessitated relocation and emigration due to its inability to sustain such a vast force. Adele confided her plan to her father, Gary Yulun. Despite recognizing him as a man of limited capability, he was the only person she felt she could trust, excluding even her husband, Tang Xiao. Gary responded by assigning his most talented individuals to form a think tank for Adele, aiding her in executing her plan. After a day consumed by her endeavors, Adele indulged in a luxurious bath attended by a dozen maids before returning to her room. The room featured a hemispherical ceiling, equipped with a holographic projector capable of displaying any desired scenery or revealing the actual view outside. Situated by the seaside on Dawn Planet, it offered an environment of unparalleled beauty, with fresh air, a pleasant climate, and exquisite scenery. The room's furnishings and equipment were of the highest quality, meticulously designed to provide maximum comfort. At the room's center stood a large, soft bed. Adele approached the window and noticed an unfamiliar text symbol affixed to the bed's headboard, "Wa," said to be an ancient text from Dawn Planet signifying marriage. However, the sight of the word happy filled Adele with a profound sense of depression. Overcome with anger, she impulsively knocked a potted plant to the floor and hurled her personal terminal onto the bed, exclaiming, "You bastard! You bastard! You bastard!" Her frustration and determination to forge her own path were palpable in the charged atmosphere of the room. Adele Ulan's fury seemed to dissipate into the air, serving only to summon a few maids who were perpetually on standby. "Mistress, how may we assist you?" one of the maids inquired with utmost caution. "Where is Tang Xiao? Why hasn't he returned? Why?" Adele's voice cracked as she teetered on the brink of hysteria. "The governor is currently engaged in a meeting. He mentioned it would conclude late tonight and advised you to rest first, promising not to disturb you," the maid responded gently. "Not disturb me? Is that supposed to be the end of it? I am his wife, the wife he wed, bringing Lundili as a dowry from across the Milky Way. Is my presence so easily dismissed?" Adele's voice rose in indignation, her frustration palpable. The maids, sensing the tension, bowed their heads, choosing silence over words. Driven by a mix of anger and desperation, Adele stormed out, boarding her personal hovercar. The robotic driver navigated swiftly towards the administrative center. Upon arrival, she bypassed all security measures with ease, her status gray, granting her unfettered access. The office door slid open with a whisper, revealing Tang Xiao sitting idly on the sofa, lost in thought. "Tang Xiao, what do you want from me?" Adele confronted him directly, her voice a mixture of anger and pain. "We've been married for 2 months, yet you've scarcely acknowledged me. Do you see me merely as a tool for securing Lundili? Now that you have what you wanted, am I to be discarded?" Tang Xiao looked up, his gaze indifferent. "I have shown you the utmost respect, and have held our marriage in high regard. However, now is not the time for such discussions." "Not the time? I've sacrificed everything for you, my home, my family. I stand alone in this foreign world, and yet you can't even afford me the slightest attention. Is this how you honor our marriage?" Adele's voice broke as she succumbed to tears, her emotions overwhelming her. Yet, Tang Xiao's response was to approach her with a cautious gentleness, his expression remaining unnervingly detached. "Is this your answer?" Adele stared at him, her eyes cold with disillusionment. Without a word, Tang Xiao returned to his desk, retrieved a lavishly decorated dagger, and slit his wrist open. Adele gasped in horror, her tears ceasing as she stared in disbelief. "This is my answer," he declared, revealing not blood and flesh beneath the wound, but the cold metal of machinery. In the distant reaches of the Milky Way's northeastern border, within the Korriban galaxy, a bright red spaceship emerged from hyperspace. Measuring approximately 20 meters in length, its design resembled a sharp dagger, complete with a hemispherical hull at the rear and a turbo laser cannon at the forefront. Equipped with 3 rapid-fire laser cannons on each side, its firepower was formidable. This vessel was the latest model designed for Sith Lord Darth Malthael, crafted by the engineering department of the Fourth Civilization. It was tailored to suit Darth Malthael's unique piloting preferences and his potent ability to foresee events, making it the ideal spacecraft for the new generation of Red. The Red Comet, with its design inspired by the Sith infiltrator gifted to him by Darth Plagueis, was a marvel of engineering focused on firepower and mobility. The decision to deprioritize the shield system was deliberate, emphasizing its offensive capabilities. Equipped with the latest in stealth technology, the Red Comet was virtually untouchable in space. It was said that with Darth Malthael at its helm, no force in the galaxy could bring it down. Darth Malthael was currently in deep meditation within the meditation chamber of the Red Comet, striving to bring himself to peak condition. His recent battles had taken a toll on him. In the conflict within the Rendili galaxy, he had faced off against some of the Milky Way's most formidable opponents, Master Pulo Kong, Master Yoda, and Arden Lin. Although he emerged victorious, the battles had significantly drained him. Yet, he knew he had to act swiftly. Hesitation would mean losing a critical opportunity. The decision to modify the droid I-5YQ and return it to Jax Pavan was part of a larger strategy, one that had been in the making for this very moment. Darth Malthael's intention was clear, to disrupt Darth Sidious's plans. By manipulating the timing of Order 66 through the droid I-5YQ, he aimed to wrest control from Darth Sidious, throwing his meticulously laid plans into disarray. This maneuver was not just about gaining an upper hand in their power struggle. It was about altering the course of the galaxy's future. Darth Malthael understood the stakes and was prepared to go to any lengths to ensure his vision prevailed. For those wishing to follow this unfolding saga, remember to bookmark this site, www.poksu.com, for easy access to future chapters. Alternatively, entering the site's name in Baidu can bring you back here for more of this gripping narrative. Vol 2, Chapter 4-50, The Ticking Time Bomb Order 66, The Downfall of the Jedi Order, was a pivotal moment that unfolded approximately a year later in 19 BBY. By this time, the Galactic Republic had emerged victorious in the war, marking the end of separatism. Chancellor Palpatine, also known as Darth Sidious, had consolidated his power to unprecedented levels. Consequently, the Jedi Order grew increasingly suspicious of Palpatine. Unbeknownst to them, Palpatine had already made his preparations and no longer hid his true identity. Upon discovering that Palpatine was in fact the Sith Lord Darth Sidious, Master Mace Windu, accompanied by 3 other Jedi Council Masters, Kit Fisto, Sissy Teen, and Agen Kolar, set out to arrest him. However, they underestimated Darth Sidious's power. The confrontation was brief and brutal. The 3 Council Masters were killed almost instantly, leaving only Master Windu to valiantly battle Sidious. Anakin Skywalker, upon hearing the news, hurried to the Senate building. There, he witnessed what appeared to be Master Windu about to defeat Darth Sidious. Already teetering on the edge due to his mother's death and his growing distrust of the Jedi Order, Anakin believed that Sidious could help him resurrect his mother. In a moment of anger and fear, Anakin intervened, severing Master Windu's hands with his lightsaber. Subsequently, Windu was struck down by Sidious using Force lightning. This act marked Anakin Skywalker's complete fall to the dark side, becoming Darth Sidious's apprentice. With the Jedi Order implicated in an alleged assassination attempt on Chancellor Palpatine, he declared them traitors and activated Order 66. This directive was one of 150 emergency protocols embedded in the clone troopers' biochips, designed to address various extreme scenarios, including the Jedi committing treason. These biochips compelled the clone troopers to execute the orders, bypassing their personal judgment. The existence of these biochips and the 150 directives were not a secret to the Jedi Order. Master Sifo Dyas, who initiated the Clone Trooper project, and Master Shak Ti, who later oversaw the clone production on Kamino, were aware of them. However, a subtle manipulation in the wording of Order 66 went unnoticed. Unlike the other directives, which required consensus or notification from multiple Republic authorities, Order 66 could be unilaterally activated by the Chancellor alone. Thus, with a mere declaration from Darth Sidious, clone troopers across the galaxy turned on their Jedi commanders, executing them without warning. This betrayal led to the deaths of over 10,000 Jedi Knights, with only a few managing to escape the purge. Following the eradication of the Jedi Order, Darth Sidious discarded his last semblance of a democratic leader. He proclaimed the transformation of the Galactic Republic into the Galactic Empire, crowning himself emperor. This marked the beginning of a dark era, with the Empire's tyranny spreading across the galaxy. After Darth Malthael's arrival, it became clear that Darth Sidious would not be able to comfortably consolidate his power, execute Order 66 to eliminate the Jedi Knights, ascend the throne, and proclaim himself emperor without facing significant challenges. The inevitable outcome of this situation was the rapid integration and distribution of power and interests within the next galactic empire, propelling it swiftly back onto a path of war and power struggles. However, Darth Malthael had no intention of allowing the Jedi Order to survive Order 66 either. His existence was something the Jedi Knights could never tolerate, making the destruction of the Jedi Order the only point of tacit agreement between him and Darth Sidious. To achieve his ends, Darth Malthael had devised a plan more than a decade ago. Sent by Darth Plagueis, he was tasked with eliminating Lorn Pawan, who might have exposed the plan for the Battle of Naboo. During that mission, he decided to hide the information obtained by Lorn Pawan in the droid I-5YQ. He then instructed Superlo Tusk to conceal this information ingeniously, making it difficult for Jax Pawan to uncover. This turned I-5YQ into a ticking time bomb for both Darth Sidious and the Jedi Order. Once Jax Pawan discovered the information and reported it to Master Yoda, the Jedi Order would undoubtedly take action. This, in turn, would force Darth Sidious to prematurely confront the Jedi Order, attacking them before his power was fully consolidated, thereby incurring significant losses. On the other hand, the existence of Order 66 meant the Jedi Order was still likely to be decimated by Darth Sidious, but with more Jedi Knights surviving than in the original execution of Order 66. Thus, Darth Malthael's objectives would be fully realized. Upon learning that Coruscant had suddenly entered a state of blockade, Darth Malthael immediately realized that the metaphorical time bomb had finally detonated. Now, he could simply observe the ensuing chaos from a distance. However, this did not mean he would remain idle. He needed to travel to the planet Korriban to complete a dark ritual he had previously left unfinished. Darth Sidious, aware of the dangers posed by allowing Darth Malthael to complete this ritual, had kept a close watch on Korriban. The last time Darth Malthael attempted to complete the ritual on Korriban, Darth Sidious arrived swiftly and, with the assistance of Marka Ragnos, repelled Malthael. This encounter made it clear to Darth Malthael that as long as Darth Sidious was vigilant, achieving his goal would be impossible. Therefore, he had to wait for a moment when Darth Sidious was too preoccupied to pay him any mind, and that moment had arrived. Volume 2, Chapter 1451, Valley of the Dark Lords. The planet Korriban, known for its Valley of the Dark Lords, also referred to as the Valley of the Sleeping Kings, has been the final resting place for the Sith Lords since the rise of the Sith sect. Only the most powerful and distinguished Sith Lords of their time, or the Kings of the Sith Empire, earn the right to be interred here. In the future, it is expected that the tombs of Sith Lords, such as Darth Vader and Darth Krayt, will also be erected in this valley, adding to its dark legacy. Despite some notable Sith kings not being buried here for various reasons, the Valley of the Dark Lords remains the most ominous location in the entire galaxy, housing the resentment and darkness of countless Sith from the early sect to the later Empire. The spirits of innumerable soldiers, people who perished in wars, and Sith Lords consumed by anger and defeat perpetually haunt this place. Korriban, and particularly the Valley of the Dark Lords, has long been deemed a forbidden zone for life. Darth Malthael landed his spaceship in a concealed area behind the valley and proceeded towards the Sith Academy, just as he had done previously. The sky was choked with yellow sand, erasing any signs of his last visit. As he made his way between two statues that knelt, bearing the pyramid of the Academy, phantoms began to materialize around him, bowing in submission to the newly anointed Lord of Death. Unperturbed, Darth Malthael continued his march through the Sith Academy. Behind him, the number of specters swelled, and even the omnipresent yellow sand seemed to animate, forming angry, distorted faces that wailed and cursed the living with every gust of wind. Beyond a depression behind the Sith Academy lay the Valley of the Dark Lords. Here, mausoleums and statues, severely weathered by wind and sand, stood in a state of majestic decay. Many of the statues were broken and unrecognizable, yet the valley retained an air of somberness, with fog swirling and black mist rising from the tombs to form solid-looking phantoms in the air. These spirits of ancient Sith lords, more tangible than those following Darth Malthael, were clearly aware of his presence, and were not inclined to submit to his will. A Sith Lord bows to no one. Standing at the entrance to the Valley of the Dark Lords, flanked by two imposing warrior statues, Darth Malthael was met with a palpable sense of oppression. He gazed into the valley, where the ghosts of Sith Lords returned his stare from within the black mist. Raising his arms, Darth Malthael proclaimed, "I am Darth Malthael, Lord of the Sith, Master of the Force of Death, Sovereign of the Undead. I have come to command death itself." A gust of wind erupted from the valley, carrying with it the roars of anger. Simultaneously, the yellow sand from behind Darth Malthael surged towards him. The two forces collided, intertwining into a fearsome sand tornado. Within the maelstrom, countless ghosts howled and struggled, their hands and faces emerging briefly before being sucked back into the vortex, only for more spirits to attempt their escape. No one has ever dared to be so arrogant. Makar Ragnos materialized before Darth Malthael, flanked by an assembly of spectral figures. Among them were Naga Sadow, Ludo Kresh, Ajunta Paul, and other ancient Sith lords, each exuding a dark, monstrous aura, their power terrifyingly palpable. In life, they were among the most formidable Sith lords. In death, their might remained undiminished. Yet as Darth Malthael's gaze swept over these spectral Sith lords, a sneer curled at the corner of his mouth. Notably absent were several Sith lords he had expected to see. The notion of uniting Sith lords, he mused, had always been a flawed concept, from ancient times to the present. "You are right, Makar Ragnos," Darth Malthael retorted with a sneer. "You, who are already dead, should be under my dominion. How dare you display such arrogance before me?" With the end of his declaration, a powerful surge of deathly force accompanied his vow, ice, causing the black mist and gusting winds to dissipate instantly. Darth Malthael continued to advance, each step intensifying the concentration of deathly force around him. No one can escape death, and I am the embodiment of death itself. With a decisive step, he entered the domain of the Dark Lord Valley. Instantly, the scenery transformed. The entire area was enveloped in darkness. The yellow sands and the eroded valley vanished, replaced by an impenetrable gloom. Yet, within this darkness, the tombs of the Sith Lords were faintly visible. Suddenly, a colossal figure emerged atop one of the mausoleums. This figure, towering tens of meters high, was nothing but bones, adorned in what were once magnificent garments, now reduced to mere tatters. A rusty crown sat atop its skull. It was Makar Ragnos, and he was not alone. Similar skeletal figures rose from other tombs, each in their decaying attire and rusted crowns. Their hollow eye sockets fixed on Darth Malthael as they raised their massive palms in a menacing gesture. With a thunderous crash, one of the skeletal hands descended, its force shaking the very earth. Yet in the blink of an eye, the hand crumbled into yellow sand and vanished, leaving Darth Malthael unscathed, continuing his relentless advance. "No matter how glorious and powerful you were in life, in death, this realm is mine. You cannot escape death. You cannot elude my control." Darth Malthael's voice boomed, echoing across the valley. "Surrender to me. Become one with death." The skeletal figure that had attempted to strike him could not halt its disintegration, its form collapsing into sand and dust. From the remnants, a pitch-black gem fell into Darth Malthael's grasp. Please remember the first domain name of this book. For the fastest updates, visit the mobile version of Vertex Novels. Vol 2, Chapter 452, The World of the Force. You won't succeed. Today, even your soul will be torn apart by us, Makar Ragnos declared, standing atop his own mausoleum. With a raise of his hand, countless bone spurs erupted from the ground, encircling Darth Malthael in a deadly embrace. Yet Darth Malthael remained unfazed. With each step forward, the bone spurs crumbled into yellow sand, dissipating into the air. The ghosts of other ancient Sith lords, standing atop their tombs, joined the assault, their massive skeletal arms crashing down towards Darth Malthael like an unending wall of bones. Makar Ragnos intensified the attack, causing more bone spurs to sprout from the bone wall. Darth Malthael's expression turned grave as he summoned the force of death to shield himself against this monstrous onslaught. However, the combined might of the ancient Sith Lord's ghosts shattered his defenses almost instantly, impaling him with countless bone spurs once more. Arms from every direction reached out as if to rip him apart. To any other, such a vicious attack would spell the end, their soul utterly destroyed. But Darth Malthel merely grinned through his severe injuries. Despite the dire situation, a ferocious smile played on his lips. What concerns me more is, what is this place? Darth Malthel asked, his grin unwavering. You are but a collection of forsaken spirits. You shouldn't possess any power to influence reality. So where are we? You ask too many questions. Now, die! Makar Ragnos bellowed, unleashing another wave of skeleton arms and bone spurs that tore Darth Malthael's body to shreds. The relentless assault quickly reduced him to fragments, which were then swallowed by the endless darkness, leaving only half of his face on the ground. Yet his expression remained unchanged, still marked by that enigmatic smile. I see, he murmured, moments before a massive bone spur obliterated the last remnant of his face. Here is the world of the original Force. His voice, disembodied, filled the air from an unknown source. Immediately after, one of the ancient Sith Lord's bodies began to crumble into yellow sand, gradually vanishing. Here is the world of spirits. Another ancient Sith Lord's skull was suddenly pierced, revealing a phantom figure in human shape being extracted by an unseen force. As the phantom was pulled out, the skeletal body also began to collapse. Here is the world of death. Exactly. Ha! Darth Malthael's eerie laughter resonated. I've always wondered, in what form do the spirits of the Jedi Knights and the ghosts of the Sith Lords exist? On Dagobah, I barely scratched the surface, but now I understand. Leave this place, Makar Ragnos roared in fury. Darth Plagueis was indeed mistaken in his research direction. Darth Malthael continued, as another ancient Sith Lord was extracted from his skeletal form by Malthael's power, turning into yellow sand and disappearing. Karnazmor also conducted research and realized the existence of this place during his 4,000 years of seclusion and death. And you, Makar Ragnos, it seems you've come to the same realization. Darth Malthael spoke again. The original Force is an entity that transcends all. Yet, at the same time, it is an entity that is intertwined with everything. As he spoke, the endless darkness around them seemed to. The essence of the world was condensing, merging seamlessly with the surrounding darkness, rendering it invisible. Yet, the moment any of the ancient Sith Lords came into contact with this entity, their bodies began to disintegrate instantly. This is the essence of this world. Although our grasp on it remains superficial, we've begun to understand that this place, Darth Malthael said, his voice laced with a sinister chuckle, is an idealistic world. As the entity in the darkness continued to condense, a darkness deeper than the surrounding blackness began to swirl in midair, becoming gradually discernible despite the pitch-black environment. Darth Malthael's voice echoed ominously from all directions. If I were to use the terminology from my previous life, this place is the underworld, yet also a fairyland. It is both hell and heaven, and in this realm, this force reigns supreme. His laughter boomed, resonating through the darkness. Suddenly, the condensing entity seemed to take on a physical form. An enormous claw pierced through the darkness, around which a blood-red aura began to materialize. Then, a massive bolt of blood-colored lightning erupted from the claw, annihilating everything in its vicinity. The darkness dissipated, along with the skeletal remains of the ancient Sith Lords. The scene reverted back to the Valley of the Lord of Darkness, surrounded by yellow sand. The eroded mausoleum still stood, barely visible through the sand and dust. As the sandstorm howled, its ghostly wails mirrored the eerie sounds from the darkness. Darth Malthael remained in the valley, though he had ventured deeper into its heart since his initial encounter with the darkness at its edge. The valley was now a labyrinth of towering boulders, mausoleums, and broken statues that seemed to watch over the area with a lifelike gaze. Direction had lost all meaning in this place. Stumbling, Darth Malthael nearly collapsed. He coughed violently, expelling a cloud of black sand and dust from his mouth, instead of blood. His body had withered to a skeletal state once more. In a previous clash with Darth Sidious, he had absorbed a life force equivalent to 10 years to partially restore his body, only to revert to a mummified state. It's futile. You're destined to perish here. Mala Ragnos's voice echoed from the depths of the valley, a grim reminder of the peril that awaited. For ease of reading, visit www.novelmtl.com for future chapters, or search on Baidu to access this site. Vol 2, Chapter 453, Death Lightsaber, Part 1. Death? Fascinating. Darth Malthel rose once more, his visage twisting into an even more malevolent grin. I am the very essence of death, and yet you dare to wish for my demise. Heh, how amusing, ha ha ha. This place forbids the living, and you, despite being so intimately acquainted with death, remain among the living. Ha ha ha. Marka Ragnos laughed mockingly. Just look at yourself. Soon you will join our ranks. Ha! This might actually be an intriguing idea, Darth Malthel remarked, his lips curling into an eerie smile. He then assumed a meditative posture, sitting cross-legged on the ground, and spread his hands before him. Clutched in his grasp were 9 pitch-black gems, the souls of the ancient Sith Lords he had subdued in the shadowy realm. To be precise, he hadn't killed them, but had instead captured and sealed them using a potent death force. This wasn't a matter of power strength. Rather, his mastery over death allowed him to interact with these Sith specters. In essence, the death force served as a conduit between the physical realm and the spectral world he had just navigated. Next, Darth Malthel laid out an assortment of components, among which were several white kyber crystals. These crystals, in their pure and unaltered state, symbolized the natural essence of the Force. With these items arrayed before him, he closed his eyes and delved into deep meditation. Do you seek death? Marka Ragnos bellowed from afar. Why do you incessantly predict my death? Isn't it absurd? Darth Malthel retorted without opening his eyes, his tone laced with mockery. I'm right here. Why don't you try to kill me? Die! Marka Ragnos roared furiously, and once again, countless Sith specters materialized. They encircled the area, their ethereal claws reaching out to grasp Darth Malthel. Yet, astonishingly, they couldn't come anywhere near him. No matter their efforts, growling, howling, colliding, tearing, they were unable to breach the invisible barrier that protected him. Marka Ragnos, driven to fury by this anomaly, attempted to attack Darth Malthel himself, but was similarly repelled. In his rage, he resorted to hurling insults. Unlike other Sith Lords who preferred silence, Marka Ragnos unleashed a torrent of curses, targeting Darth Malthel's lineage in person in a relentless verbal assault. This tactic, previously used to overwhelm Darth Plagueis, now served as his primary weapon against Darth Malthel, who remained unfazed and calmly stated, You see, since the Death Force can bridge the gap between the physical and the spectral realms, it can just as easily dismantle it. It's as simple as that. Marka Ragnos's tirade intensified upon hearing this. He realized that Darth Malthel was currently vulnerable, weak enough to be dispatched by any Sith apprentice. However, on the desolate planet of Korriban, within the inaccessible Valley of the Dark Lords, where could he find such a person? Only Sith specters roamed here, and their failed attempt to drag Darth Malthel into the spectral realm had significantly weakened them, diminishing their influence in the physical world. Darth Malthel had effectively shut them out, ceasing their game. This nearly drove Marka Ragnos to the brink of fury. Thus, cursing became his sole outlet for rage. Meanwhile, Darth Malthel had already commenced his next move, effectively isolating himself from their attacks and proceeding with his mysterious ritual. Recovering from his encounter with the ghosts, he swiftly recalibrated his state of mind, integrating the insights he had just gained. It felt as though he had grazed the fringes of the Force's vast realm. In truth, his confrontation with the ancient Sith Lord specters had ended in failure. Despite managing to escape the Dark Realm, he was gravely wounded. Without the sustaining power of the Dark Force, such injuries would have left him unconscious, if not in shock. His failure stemmed from his ability to defeat but not dominate these ghosts. Without domination, the dark ritual remained incomplete, and he could not truly embody death itself. Previously, at the Sith Academy, he had taken his first step by conquering the spirits of numerous Sith educators and students. That victory had marked a significant milestone. However, his recent encounter led to a profound realization about the Force. Intellectual insight and understanding are paramount, far surpassing mere training and cultivation. Now, he prepared for a new endeavor, one that would deplete his remaining strength. Failure meant he would never leave the Dark Lord's Valley, as Maka Ragnos had warned, becoming part of its history without even a tomb to his name. Yet, retreat was not an option. Not only because returning would draw Darth Sidious's attention back to Korriban, denying him any second chances. More importantly, as a would-be embodiment of death, retreating before the ancient Sith Lords meant he could never overcome this hurdle. Under the influence of the Force, a piece levitated into the air, aligning and joining with another. Gradually, a third piece ascended and connected. Darth Malthael was constructing a new lightsaber, a process marked by painstaking slowness. Each component was meticulously riveted together in an unconventional manner. At times, Darth Malthael would use the Force to warp these pieces before fusing them in bizarre configurations. What emerged was a hilt, or rather, a metallic rod, its countless contorted components rendering it almost grotesque in appearance. The sight was bewildering, its twisted form evoking the chaotic swirls of Jupiter's atmosphere, a spectacle that could drive one to madness. Note, for ease of future reading, remember the URL of this site, www.com, or simply enter in Baidu to access this site. This chapter does not exist, sadly. Let's proceed to the next chapter. This chapter does not exist, sadly. Let's proceed to the next chapter. Vol 2, Chapter 1456, Incarnation of Death. In the desolate valley of the Dark Lord, the air was thick with an ominous chill. Gloomy clouds and mist shrouded the landscape, while sandstorms, carrying clouds of yellow sand, howled through the valley, their wails reminiscent of ghosts and wolves. Darth Malthael, wielding the soul-reaping sword, advanced with deliberate steps. The black blade, held upside down, trailed along the ground, its superheated plasma core melting the yellow sand and soil beneath it, leaving a trail of burning lava in its wake. The soul-reaping sword was no ordinary weapon. Unlike typical double-ended lightsabers, its hilt was elongated and could not be separated into two. Black-bladed lightsabers were unheard of in the galaxy, with the exception of the unique dark sword wielded by the Mandalore Death Guard. However, the dark sword, despite its distinct appearance, functioned similarly to other lightsabers, its uniqueness lying in the adjustment of its electromagnetic restraint to give the blade a flat shape. The soul-reaping sword, on the other hand, was something entirely different. It was less a lightsaber and more a conduit through which Darth Malthael could tap into the force of death, connecting him to the world of the Force in ways previously unimaginable. The mysteries of this connection were vast and largely unexplored, even by Darth Malthael himself. The world of the original Force was a realm of endless possibilities, a fact that Darth Malthael had long been researching through artifacts like Mor's Amulet, the Gauntlet of Little Clash, the Dark Reaper, and the ancient interstellar forge destroyed in the Sith War 4,000 years ago. These artifacts shared a common trait, the ability to unleash power far beyond their physical limitations. For instance, Mor's Amulet, lost 7,000 years ago, had been emanating energy within the dungeons of planet Terrace, transforming its inhabitants into Rakh ghouls for 3,000 years without diminishing. Similarly, Little Clash's Gauntlet, despite lacking an energy storage mechanism, could generate a force barrier capable of blocking most attacks. Such was the power of the Force world. The primary function of the soul-reaping sword in Darth Malthael's grasp was to cleave through Sith ghosts that lingered between reality and illusion. Its secondary function allowed Darth Malthael to channel original Force abilities, including Force lightning, through the sword, significantly amplifying their power. Yet, Darth Malthael knew this was just the beginning. The immediate task at hand was to address the menace of the Sith ghosts. With the creation of the soul-reaping sword, these ancient Sith lords had scattered in terror, recognizing the sword as their nemesis. The eerie howls that filled the valley were the sounds of these ghosts fleeing in panic. Darth Malthael pursued Maka Ragnos with a relentless determination, intent on eradicating this particularly troublesome spirit. Maka Ragnos was not only a source of incessant cursing, but also possessed a deep understanding of the Force world, making him a significant threat if left unchecked in the Valley of the Dark Lord. With a swift motion, Darth Malthael's black sword light flashed, striking at a statue more than 10 meters high. The power of the soul-reaping sword was undeniable, a true incarnation of death for those who dared to oppose it. Darth Malthael advanced steadily, his gaze fixed on the specter hovering before the towering mausoleum. "Don't even think about escaping. Maka Ragnos, you must know that I cannot allow you to leave today," Darth Malthael said with a menacing grin. "Your very existence is an affront to the Sith." Maka Ragnos let out a thunderous roar, fully aware that escape was no longer an option. Darth Malthael's power over death had intensified remarkably, especially after he had taken his own life, freeing himself from the last constraints that had held back his mastery over death. It was no exaggeration to say that he had become the embodiment of death itself. "Is my existence what you call blasphemy?" Darth Malthael sneered in response. "Then what about you? Defeated repeatedly by the Galactic Republic, your homeland destroyed and turned into a wasteland, your empire obliterated, you have no place in this world anymore. What does that make you?" Maka Ragnos responded in a grave tone. "Listen, your power is immense. You have proven yourself a worthy Sith Lord. We bear no ill will towards you. I acknowledge you as the ruler of the Sith Empire. Leave this place. Your true adversaries are the Galactic Republic." Darth Malthael chuckled lightly. "I hold no personal vendettas against anyone, including Darth Sidious. Though he was responsible for the death of my master, Darth Plagueis, I was implicated in that affair as well. The demise of Darth Plagueis was, in fact, advantageous to me." He slowly raised his hand, the black blade of the soul sword pointing directly at Maka Ragnos. "As for you, Maka Ragnos, whether you insult or criticize me is of no consequence. I am not so petty, but now I have a use for you." "Do not presume you have already won," Maka Ragnos roared. From his tomb, an endless stream of black mist surged towards Darth Malthael, engulfing him in darkness. However, in the next instant, a darkness deeper than the mist itself sliced through everything. With a single stroke of his sword, Darth Malthael not only dimmed the sky, but also cleaved the massive mausoleum in front of him in two. Maka Ragnos, caught directly in the path of this devastating attack, was disintegrated into countless particles of dust, scattering into the wind, leaving behind only a black gemstone, larger and darker than the rest, floating in the air. Within the gemstone, the visage of Maka Ragnos appeared to tremble and struggle, but he was unable to break free from the gemstone's imprisoning seal. Countless metallic tentacles emerged from the hilt of the soul sword, wrapping around Maka Ragnos' gemstone and drawing it back. In that moment, Darth Malthael sensed a surge of deathly power within him, far stronger than before, a power that brought him even closer to the essence of death itself. Vol 2, Chapter 1457, Showdown. In summary, on behalf of the Jedi Order, I hereby formally accuse the current Galactic Council Speaker, Sheev Palpatine, of being unfit for leadership. As a Sith Lord, you lack the qualifications to guide the Galactic Republic forward. Jedi Master Shaak Ti declared, standing on an anti-gravity platform within the Galactic Parliament building in Lausanne. Unlike other speakers, Shaak Ti maneuvered the platform directly to the center of the spherical chamber, positioning herself face-to-face with Palpatine. For the Jedi Order to make such a decision at this juncture is both regrettable and distressing. We are at a pivotal moment for the reunification of our Galactic Republic. The war with the Separatists is nearing its end, with victory within our grasp. Palpatine emphasized the word victory with grave seriousness. His gaze upon Shaak Ti was icy as he continued. At such a critical time, the Jedi Knights choose to undermine us. Why? What motivates you to derail our path to victory? You are a Sith Lord. The Sith Empire has been the nemesis of the Galactic Republic for over 7,000 years. The numerous Sith wars have resulted in untold loss of life and devastation. A person with such affiliations should not be at the helm of the Galactic Republic. Shaak Ti retorted sharply. Firstly, the current constitution of the Galactic Republic does not prohibit any individual from serving as the speaker based on their personal beliefs. Secondly, it explicitly supports and respects the freedom of belief for all citizens. Thirdly, as the speaker, I am open to any investigations. I assure you, I have done nothing that goes against the interests of the Galactic Republic, Palpatine responded, his expression unchanging. Then, Master Shaak Ti, why do you insist I am unfit to be the speaker? The historical conflicts between the Sith Empire and the Galactic Republic span nearly 10,000 years, including the Old Sith Wars 7,000 years ago, the Mandalorian Wars 4,000 years ago, and the New Sith Wars that concluded 1,000 years ago. Throughout these conflicts, the Jedi Order has always stood with the Republic, believing it to be a beacon of light. Allowing a Sith Lord to become the Speaker could have dire consequences for the Republic, based on millennia of enmity, Shaak Ti explained. Palpatine sneered, countering, "Are the negative effects you mention my efforts to rebuild the army and wage a relentless war against Count Dooku, who seeks to divide our nation? Or perhaps my reforms to cut through bureaucratic red tape, streamlining departments to enhance the Republic's administrative efficiency during its darkest hours? It was individuals like myself who fought tirelessly for the Republic. How do you, the self-proclaimed guardians, justify your actions?" He scanned the room before continuing. "I admit I am sensitive to the Force, and my powers lean towards the dark side. This is a result of my family being assassinated by political rivals in my youth. However, the dark side has not tainted my loyalty and dedication to the Republic. It has only made me stronger and more resolute. I vowed to prevent such tragedies from befalling others. And yet, the Jedi Order, rather than seeking justice for the victims, chooses to accuse me. Is this the role of guardians? If so, then let us be clear. Master Shaak Ti, do you possess any concrete evidence to support your accusations?" Shaak Ti responded calmly. "We have no direct evidence. My presence here today is merely to convey the Jedi Order's decision. The Jedi Knights will. Leaving the Galactic Republic and retreating to a remote planet for seclusion was a decision that weighed heavily on the Jedi Order. It was a move born out of necessity, a concession to the grim realization that after years of preparation and manipulation, Palpatine's position was unassailable through legal means. His authority was, paradoxically, both absolute and entirely legitimate. Thus, the only path left for the Jedi Order was to sever ties with Palpatine and the Galactic Republic. This admission of defeat was not taken lightly. Palpatine's expression darkened at the announcement. The silence that followed in the vast conference hall, filled with thousands of congressmen, was deafening. The decision was monumental. The Jedi Order had been a cornerstone of the Galactic Republic's defense and peacekeeping for over 25,000 years. Their declaration of departure was nothing short of seismic. Palpatine spoke with a tone of regret. "I must express my disappointment once again. The Jedi Order's departure is precisely the outcome that the Separatists and Count Dooku would have hoped for. Without the leadership of the Jedi, the path to victory will undoubtedly become more arduous. This war could drag on for years to come." Shaak Ti responded with equal firmness. "The Jedi Order, aligned with the light side of the Force, and the Sith Lord, a servant of the dark side, can never collaborate." Palpatine retorted with a sneer. "So, you've chosen to side with another Sith Lord, the Dead Angel, and his ally, Count Dooku? I see no other justification for your abandonment of the Galactic Republic's unification efforts. Your withdrawal only serves to bolster the Separatist chances of resurgence." "We are not here seeking your approval, but to inform you of our decision," Shaak Ti declared. "Time will vindicate our actions. For now, our choice is to depart." Palpatine's voice grew louder, his demand resolute. If the Jedi Knights are determined to forsake their allegiance to the Galactic Republic, then, as a representative of the countless civilians caught in the crossfire of this conflict, I must insist that the Jedi Order immediately open the Jedi Temple for a comprehensive investigation. He continued, raising his hands for emphasis. "The Jedi Order has been involved in nearly every critical decision of the Galactic Republic. As the Speaker of the Republic, it is my duty to ensure that no secrets of the Republic are compromised." Vol 2, Chapter 14-8, Sophistry and Investigation. In the year 1458, the tension between the Jedi Order and the Galactic Republic reached a critical point. Shaak Ti, having anticipated Palpatine's request, responded, "The Jedi Order agrees to allow the Galactic Republic access to the Library of the Jedi Temple. Furthermore, we will open up the political participation and military decisions of all Jedi Knights for verification by the fact-finding mission." Palpatine, with a cold tone, clarified, "What I am demanding is a thorough investigation." This means we will scrutinize all materials, including those within the Jedi Temple Library and its collection. Shaak Ti countered, "The Jedi Order has dedicated itself to the study of the Force, exploring the nature of the universe. We are under no obligation to surrender our research findings to the Galactic Republic." "The Galactic Republic does not seek ownership of the Jedi Order's research results," Palpatine assured. "All we require is assurance that these findings do not pose a threat to the Galactic Republic. That will suffice." Shaak Ti felt a growing unease. The Jedi Order has sealed away any knowledge that could threaten the galaxy. Disclosing such information would indeed pose a real threat. "Do not worry, Master Shaak Ti. Our experts are well versed in these matters. They will ensure nothing endangers the Galactic Republic," Palpatine sneered, emphasizing the safety of the Galactic Republic over the galaxy itself, knowing this point would corner the Jedi Order. Shaak Ti, with a cold smile, retorted, "Experts? The Jedi Knights have studied the Force for tens of thousands of years. How can your so-called professionals from the Galactic Republic compare?" Palpatine, unfazed, replied with a smile, "Not all those sensitive to the Force belong to the Jedi Order, and, if necessary, I believe I possess more expertise." Shaak Ti's expression darkened. "Fantasies, so you aim to seize the research achievements of the Jedi Knights?" Palpatine, raising his mechanically replaced left hand, declared, "I swear that my actions will not harm the galaxy. Everything I do is for the good of the Galactic Republic. I have dedicated my life to it and will not conceal anything. Even if enemy forces invade Coruscant, I will be the last to stand in defense." In contrast, where was the Jedi Order during our most challenging times? Shaak Ti sharply replied, "That is utterly impossible. The Jedi Order swears by the Force. We will never release any forbidden research or allow such knowledge to endanger the galaxy, and we will certainly not let a Sith Lord intervene." Palpatine laughed darkly. "The oath of the Jedi Order. How amusing. Since you claim to be guardians of the galaxy, you should have ample support, right? Let's put this to a vote in today's Galactic Council session." "You've already manipulated the Council. Asking for a vote now is nothing but a scheme," Shaak Ti accused. Palpatine looked at her with feigned pity. "I offered you a fair chance, Master Shaak Ti. I could have enacted this through emergency powers, given that the Jedi Order's hidden research threatens the Galactic Republic. Yet you refuse to vote. Why? Because the Jedi Order knows it no longer has any support." "Enough," a voice interrupted. Padme Amidala, Counselor of Naboo, stood up, pointing at Palpatine, and declared loudly, "The honor of the Jedi Order, upheld for tens of thousands of years, cannot be tarnished by such accusations." In a moment of unprecedented defiance within the Parliament, Padme Amidala's voice rang out, clear and unwavering. Her words, charged with a potent mix of indignation and resolve, cut through the previously palpable fear that had silenced any open support for the Jedi Knights. Her assertion that the Sith Lord, despite the absence of explicit legal restrictions, should not participate in decisions concerning the Jedi Order due to the inherent hostility between the two factions, galvanized the previously hesitant members of Parliament. Bolstered by her courage, they rose in a chorus of support for the Jedi, challenging the oppressive atmosphere that had been orchestrated by Palpatine. "Silence! Silence!" Deputy Speaker Mas Almeida's voice boomed, attempting to quell the sudden uproar. As the clamor subsided, Palpatine, with a cold glare directed at Padme, conceded to her point about his recusal, but remained unyielding on the matter at hand. He decreed that a vote regarding the investigation of the Jedi Order would proceed, and in the interim, no member of the Order was permitted to leave the Jedi Temple. With that, he departed, leaving the Parliament in a state of turmoil. Meanwhile, the situation outside the Jedi Temple escalated as a multitude of spotty clone soldiers encircled the premises, ensuring that not even the smallest creature could escape their blockade. In a distant corner of the galaxy, on the planet Bandamir, located in the Outer Rim Star region, a formidable fleet comprised of hundreds of warships, including 50 Hunter-class battlecruisers, stood ready. This impressive assembly represented merely a fraction of the Galactic Republic's Second Galaxy Army's full might. Bandamir, a crucial hub for agricultural and mining production in the northeastern Outer Territories, also served as a vital link in Hydea's hyperspace channel and the gateway to the Mandalorian planet. Its strategic importance was underscored in the past when it became the staging ground for the Yuuzhan Vong's invasion fleet during their assault on the Mandalorian planet. Now, with the Mandalorian planet once again in its sights, the Second Galaxy Army had chosen Bandamere as its base of operations. From this strategic position, the Army aimed to exert control over the Neutral Galaxy Alliance, including the critical planet of Mandalore, marking a new chapter in the galaxy's tumultuous history. Vol 2, Chapter 1459, Chaotic Neutral Alliance. The planet Mandalore is currently engulfed in chaos amidst its second coup. Following the Galactic Republic's recognition of the Death Watch, the group, led by Pre Vizsla and Bo-Katan Kryze, sister of the former Duchess Satine Kryze of Mandalore, initiated a power grab on the planet. However, the Death Watch's reputation among the Mandalorian populace was less than favorable, likened by many to that of a terror group. Despite the aggressive tactics employed by Pre Vizsla and Bo-Katan, their quest for power faced significant obstacles. Previously, their approach to opposition was straightforward: eliminate it. But now, with aspirations to legitimately govern Mandalore, such ruthless methods were no longer viable. Excessive violence would only further diminish their already scant support, rendering any political control they might gain ineffective. Moreover, their mysterious benefactor would not condone such actions. Bo-Katan had been absent from the earlier referendum in Sundari, dispatched on a mission to the Concordia moon by Pre Vizsla. It was there she learned of the events in Sundari, leading her to believe her sister had lost her mind. Upon Prime Minister Almec's rise to power, Bo-Katan returned to Mandalore, determined to participate in the coup. However, the real threat to Mandalore, at this time, was the main fleet of the Galactic Republic's Second Galaxy Army, stationed on the nearby planet Bandamere. Thankfully, due to Pre Vizsla's efforts, the Galactic Republic had acknowledged the Death Watch, allowing them to assume control of Mandalore legally. While Bo-Katan found it humiliating to be recognized by the Galactic Republic, she knew this was not the time for pride. Mandalore should be governed by Mandalorians, not handed over to the Galactic Republic by a new regime. With the Second Galaxy Army's fleet now focusing on stabilizing the Neutral Galaxy alliances that had begun to stir, the direct threat to Mandalore had diminished. The civil strife on Mandalore had incited various factions within these neutral alliances to act. Some planets, fearing the Galactic Republic's forceful suppression of Mandalore, worried about their own neutrality being compromised and sought the Separatists' support. Others, disillusioned with Mandalore's failure to maintain neutrality, considered rejoining the Galactic Republic, albeit without engaging in the Separatist conflict. This created a tumult of disputes and turmoil among the factions on these planets. A few planets desired to maintain the status quo, aiming to remain neutral regardless of Mandalore's fate. However, they recognized that without Mandalore's leadership, their claim to neutrality was on shaky ground. The chaotic situation underscored the fragile balance of power and the complex web of alliances and loyalties that spanned the galaxy. In the midst of widespread disarray, a plan was hatched to forge a new alliance of neutral planets. Since the upheaval on Mandalore, the more than 1,500 planets within the Neutral Galaxy Alliance had also descended into chaos. In these turbulent times, the primary mission of the Second Galaxy Army was to maintain control over the Neutral Galaxy Alliance, ensuring it did not succumb to separatist influences. To this end, the Second Galaxy Army dispatched over 3/4 of its fleet to patrol the territories of the Neutral Galaxy Alliance and stationed troops at critical transportation nodes. However, the Neutral Galaxy Alliance staunchly opposed the presence of the Galactic Republic's fleet, viewing it as a violation of their neutrality. This led to ongoing disputes and conflicts, with the Second Galaxy Army's fleet limited to operating around planets that remained loyal to the Galactic Republic. It's important to note that the Neutral Galaxy Alliance was not a distinct star region, but rather a coalition existing within a larger area in the northeast of the Milky Way. This sector was a melting pot of planets in the Alliance, planets loyal to the Republic, and even a few that had allied with the Separatists. The complexity of the situation was further compounded by the fact that many territories within the Neutral Galaxy Alliance were once under the control of the Mandalorian Crusaders during Mandalore's prime, fostering a strong sense of identity with Mandalore. On the flagship of the Second Galaxy Army of the Galactic Republic, Jedi Master Raynor entered the bridge. He noticed Master Windu engaged in a discussion with the fleet commander via hologram and approached. "Master Windu," Raynor greeted, simultaneously acknowledging the fleet commander with a discreet nod. Understanding the cue, the fleet commander promptly excused himself. The situation on Coruscant remains unclear, with communications being tightly controlled. "It's challenging for us to ascertain the developments there," Raynor mentioned quietly. Master Windu's electronic eyes glinted as he responded. "There were rumors that Palpatine had been assassinated. Can we confirm this?" Raynor confirmed. "Yes, the situation on Coruscant has eased somewhat in recent days, indicating a shift in their defensive priorities. If the assassination attempt had come from an external party, Coruscant's response would not have been so measured." Master Windu, with a tone of concern, added, "My worry is that this act might have been carried out by someone within the Jedi Order." Easter Egg Chapter Attachment 1. During the Clone Wars, Bo-Katan was a young woman, not yet 20 years old. By the timeline of The Mandalorian Season 3, Bo-Katan would be in her 50s, effectively an aunt. This age detail humorously contrasts with the image of teenage and 20-something members of extremist organizations like the Death Guard, who might appear as rebellious youths. Vol 2, Chapter 1460, the Second Galaxy Army Master Raygol's brow furrowed in disbelief. How could the Jedi Order even contemplate such an act? Assassinating the Speaker? The notion seemed utterly absurd to him. Yet, as his gaze shifted back to Master Windu, he was met with a grave expression that left no room for doubt. This was no jest. "Since our departure from Coruscant, the situation may have evolved," Master Windu explained, his voice carrying a weight of solemnity. "There's a piece of intelligence that was previously known only to the council members." He paused, turning to face Master Raynor. The electronic prosthetic eye embedded in his left socket glinted with a sinister red. "The Supreme Speaker of the Galactic Republic, Shiv Palpatine, has been revealed as the Sith Lord, Darth Sidious." Raygol's shock was palpable. "What? Impossible! How could a Sith Lord ascend to the position of Speaker within our Republic?" The revelation left him reeling, his mind racing with questions and disbelief. And with such critical information at hand, should we not mobilize our forces to apprehend him immediately? If only the solution were as straightforward as a clash of strength. "A battle where the victor claims all," Master Windu responded, his tone laced with a cold realism. "Upon discovering this, my initial impulse was indeed to confront Palpatine directly. However, I soon realized the complexity of the situation. Why hesitate? He's a Sith Lord," Raynor protested, unable to mask his frustration. Master Windu sighed, the weight of his responsibilities evident. "Yet, he remains the legally elected Speaker of the Galactic Republic. His position is not in violation of any constitutional law, as there is no clause preventing a Sith Lord from holding office." He paused, allowing the gravity of his words to sink in. "Furthermore, this intelligence originated from another Sith Lord's emissary. The veracity of such information is inherently questionable, making it impossible to act solely on the word of a Sith against the Republic's Speaker." Raygol's expression turned grave as he processed the implications. The potential for deceit and manipulation was immense if the information indeed came from a Sith Lord. It could be a ploy to incite discord, a baseless accusation, or even a tactic to undermine the morale of their forces. Yet, it could also be the truth. The enigmatic nature of the Sith's emissaries had always posed a challenge to the Jedi Order, rendering them cautious in their actions. It dawned on Raynor just how precarious the Jedi Order's position had been, shielded from collapse by the Council's resilience. "So, you're suggesting that the Jedi Order acted against Darth Sidious based on concrete evidence?" Raynor inquired, seeking clarity. "That remains the most plausible explanation," Master Windu affirmed. "No assassin could enforce a planetary martial law on Coruscant. Even when the notorious mercenary Cade Bane targeted the Galactic Council a year ago, Palpatine's security remained unshakable. The defenses surrounding him are far more extensive than they appear. That we must return to Coruscant at once and support Master Yoda in apprehending Palpatine, Rhaegal declared, ready to take action. Such a move would undermine the strategic efforts of Masters Yoda and Windu, interjected a new voice, prompting Rhaegal to turn and offer a respectful salute. Master Mundi. Ki-Adi-Mundi, the speaker, exuded a presence tinged with the dark side, though not as profoundly affected as others who had succumbed. His demeanor remained calm, unswayed by emotion. Ki-Adi-Mundi approached, explaining, Master Yoda's decision to expel Master Windu from the Jedi Order was strategic, allowing us a more advantageous position in this crisis. By distancing ourselves from the Order, we gain the flexibility needed to navigate these treacherous waters. In the midst of their discussion, Rhaegal's expression turned grave. I understand, he said. Once the Jedi Order and Palpatine part ways, the Second Galaxy Army will become our main force in the battle against darkness. Let's not forget the Neutral Galaxy Alliance, Master Windu added. Rhaegal's eyes sparkled with admiration for Master Windu's foresight. Indeed, with the Second Galaxy Army under our command, we pose a significant threat to Palpatine as long as we don't return to Coruscant. This, in turn, ensures the safety of the Jedi Order. We must avoid returning to Coruscant at all costs. Master Windu nodded in agreement, then turned to gaze at the vast expanse of stars outside the porthole. Blood debt must be repaid with blood, he declared solemnly. An eye for an eye. Blood for blood, Rhaegal and Master Ki-Adi-Mundi echoed, their voices heavy with resolve. At that moment, the fleet commander gestured from a distance, signaling that he had urgent news. Master Windu acknowledged him with a nod, inviting him to approach. With a respectful demeanor, the fleet commander reported, General Windu, our J-13 squadron was ambushed near the planet Plu 2. They managed to send a distress signal, but have since gone silent. We've lost all contact and are dispatching a reconnaissance team to investigate. Master Windu's brow furrowed in concern. The J-13 squadron consists of a Jaeger-class battlecruiser and 5 Arcatens-class light cruisers. It's unlikely they'd be silenced so easily. Proceed with caution. Dispatch the 4th Squadron, which has 10 Jaeger-class battlecruisers. They'll have the firepower needed to confront any potential threats. Understood, I'll make the arrangements immediately, the fleet commander replied. A sense of foreboding washed over Master Windu as he sensed a disturbance in the force. Meanwhile, near the planet Plu 2, 5 Arcatens-class light cruisers floated lifelessly in space, showing no signs of damage. In stark contrast, the sole Jaeger-class battlecruiser engaged in a desperate struggle. Surrounding the battleship, hundreds of fighter jets lay scattered, powerless and undamaged. The battlecruiser's deflector shield had failed, leaving it vulnerable to the formidable adversary before it. A massive, dark silhouette loomed over the Jaeger-class ship, nearly engulfing it. This behemoth, a Conqueror-class battleship known as the Destruction, stretched 4,825 meters in length and was once the bane of the Galactic Republic. Its hull bristled with over 500 multifunctional medium-sized turbo laser cannons, unleashing a relentless barrage on the Republic's Jaeger-class battlecruiser. On the bridge of the Destruction, Admiral Severance Tan of the 4th Civilization sneered menacingly. Slamming her pointer against the holographic star map, she bellowed, "Fire at will! Spare no one! Today marks the beginning of the end for the Second Galaxy Army. I want them so decimated that they couldn't return to Coruscant, even if they tried." A brilliant explosion of light and fire ensued, reducing the Jaeger-class battlecruiser to debris, marking a violent end to the confrontation. Vol 2, Chapter 1461, Sith Apprentice. A heavily modified Neimoidian Coleopod-class shuttle, bristling with turrets and advanced weapon systems, made its descent onto the desolate planet of Korriban, coming to rest outside the imposing Sith Academy. From the shuttle emerged a figure shrouded in a black cloak, moving with purpose toward the depths of the Sith Academy. Despite the harsh sandstorm swirling through the valley, the figure's cloak billowed, but did not conceal the slender and dynamic form beneath. This figure was a woman. As she approached the pyramid of the Sith Academy, the woman removed her hood, revealing a face of seductive beauty. Her sapphire blue skin and the leku, tentacles, trailing from the back of her head, marked her as a Twi'lek. However, the Liku on her left side was missing, replaced by a stunning array of gemstones. This was Darth Lilim, the apprentice of Darth Malthael. Darth Lilim had been stationed on the planet Odd Mantel, commanding the fleet of the Fourth Group and providing support. Her mission was critical, to ensure the safety of the Fourth Group. The Interstellar Banking Association centered on the planet Makido and other key planets in the north, including Mulanster. With the Geths causing havoc throughout the north, the Fourth Civilization had to be vigilant. Although allies, the Geths operated independently, rarely communicating with their supposed partners. This lack of interaction necessitated extra precautions to guard against any potential betrayal that could devastate the Fourth Group, the Interstellar Banking Association, and the moon inhabitants of Mulanst, effectively halving the strength of the Fourth Civilization. The situation at the northern border was tense, with the Geths overpowering the Galactic Republic's defense fleet, while the forces of the Fourth Civilization cautiously expanded their gains, ever wary of the Geth threat. Yet, upon receiving a summons from her master, Darth Lilim abandoned her responsibilities without a second thought. To her, the commands of her master outweighed any allegiance to the Fourth Group or concerns about the Geths. Darth Lilim passed between two statues of slaves at the entrance of the Sith Academy, their bodies eternally supporting the pyramid structure, and followed the path her master had once walked. As she ventured deeper, numerous Sith ghosts emerged, their howls piercing the air and sending waves of terror straight to her soul. They conjured horrifying visions in an attempt to break her spirit. However, Darth Lilim pressed on, her faith unwavering. These spectral assaults could not deter her loyalty to her master. Despite her deep understanding of the Force, Darth Lilim struggled against the onslaught of Sith ghosts. Unlike Darth Malthael, who possessed an unparalleled mastery over the Force of Death, she had not been forced to follow the same path. Instead, her master had encouraged her to explore her own potential. Thus, facing the multitude of Sith ghosts proved a daunting challenge for Darth Lilim, far from the ease her master would have experienced. Nevertheless, Darth Lilim persevered, navigating through the spectral hazards and emerging at the rear of the Sith Academy. She then made her way toward the Valley of the Dark Lord, the sight of which, shrouded in black mist, caused a bead of cold sweat to trickle down her forehead. Sweat beaded on Darth Lilim's forehead. After enduring the trials at the Sith Academy, she had come to understand the terrifying nature of the Sith ghosts. Ones lurking in the Dark Lord's Valley were among the most formidable Sith entities from the past. In their presence, she feared she might be vanquished in an instant. Yet, despite the trepidation gripping her heart, Darth Lilim continued forward, her steps unwavering. As she crossed into the valley's boundary, she braced herself for the worst. But nothing happened. She simply walked in. The valley was filled with a chilling wind, and the air was pierced by the eerie sounds of ghosts wailing and wolves howling, yet not a single Sith ghost emerged to cause chaos. Initially, Darth Lilim's face was marked by confusion, but soon, a wave of ecstasy washed over her. Her master had succeeded. He had taken the final step and conquered the darkness of the Valley of the Dark Lord, becoming the supreme ruler of the ancient Sith kings. With renewed vigor, Darth Lilim hastened her steps, drawn to the presence of her master in the heart of the valley, where darkness reigned supreme. She arrived at a mausoleum, once magnificent but now cleaved in two by a formidable force. Kneeling in the shadowy ruins, she proclaimed with deep reverence, "Congratulations, Master. You have vanquished the darkness of the Dark Lord's Valley. You have ascended as the conqueror of the ancient Sith kings. You are the true Sith king." From the shadows, a sinister laugh echoed. Darth Malthael emerged, holding the hilt of his newly crafted, meter-long lightsaber. The darkness seemed to coalesce around him, as if he were the very embodiment of the night. "The King of the Sith, I am still far from achieving my ultimate goal," Darth Malthael responded, his voice cold. "Your flattery serves no purpose. Master, your strength is unparalleled in my eyes. Since arriving on the planet Korriban, your power has only grown. I believe there is no one in this galaxy who can stand against you," Darth Lilim replied, her tone still filled with utmost respect. "Do you know where we are?" Darth Malthael shifted the conversation away from the flattery. Planet Korriban, the cradle of the Sith Order and the birthplace of the Sith Empire, Darth Lilim answered, her knowledge vast thanks to the teachings of her master. And do you know why I never allowed you to come here before? He probed further. Master, your wisdom is boundless. I cannot presume to understand your deeper intentions, Darth Lilim admitted, bowing her head. Because Korriban was never my desired destination, Darth Malthael declared coldly. This place is nothing more than a graveyard for the countless failures of the Sith Empire. What could I possibly gain from such a place? The lamentations of the defeated? Ha! His laughter, devoid of warmth, filled the air, underscoring the futility of seeking glory among the ruins of the past. Vol 2, Chapter 1462, Training 1. The loser. Darth Lilim was taken aback, struggling to grasp the meaning behind her master's words. Darth Malthael sneered. Yes, loser. He casually tossed aside a decaying and rusted diadem, once worn by Makar Ragnoth. Sith lords throughout history have brought their apprentices to Korriban or to other ancient ruins of the Sith Empire to immerse them in the dark side's embrace, believing it purifies their connection to the Force. But, he continued, his voice dripping with disdain, as I've mentioned before, that's merely the lament of the defeated. He fixed Darth Lilim with a scornful look. These Sith spirits, having lost their war against the Galactic Republic, are consumed by bitterness. Their negative emotions, amplified by the dark side, linger indefinitely. Apprentices sensitive to the Force, upon entering such places, are easily manipulated by these spirits. Their own connection to the Force becomes tainted, their emotions grow volatile, and a deep-seated hatred for the Galactic Republic is instilled in them by the Sith ghosts. Darth Malthael's expression turned icy, his smirk laden with sarcasm. What I seek for my followers is not the so-called legacy of these failures. I desire the essence of victory, the horn of the conqueror. Ha! Darth Lilim quickly prostrated herself. Master, you have indeed conquered this place, the Valley of the Dark Lord. Conquered to an extent, Darth Malthael corrected. Makar Ragnos and his lackeys have been eradicated by me. Ludo Kress, Nagasato, and others who were loyal to Marka Ragnos have all been vanquished by my lightsaber. He gazed out at the vast valley, obscured by swirling winds, sand, and darkness. Here, numerous formidable entities lie dormant. Some have entered eternal slumber, while others remain in their tombs. Regardless, I now reign as the king of the undead in this realm. Congratulations, Master, Darth Lilim exclaimed. Darth Malthael sneered. As for you, I offer a challenge. Kill me. Darth Lilim looked up in shock, her eyes wide with disbelief and fear. Master, you can't mean. Is my command so difficult to comprehend? Kill me, and all that lies here, including the Dawn Star, will be yours. Darth Malthael's sneer faded, his expression turning menacing. He brandished a lightsaber hilt, twisted and sinister, with 18 black gemstones embedded in it, resembling 18 malevolent eyes. Kill me, or face death at my hands. Darth Lilim knelt, too frightened to look up. Master, if I have erred, please punish me. But I cannot raise my sword against you. So you choose loyalty over obedience to my command? Darth Malthael's gaze turned deadly. Master, Darth Lilim stammered, at a loss for words. Do you require me to repeat my command? Darth Malthael's lightsaber activated instantly, the black blade emerging with a chilling presence. If so, then you too shall embrace death. Trembling, Darth Lilim whispered, Master. In the next instant, her own lightsaber activated, a powerful bolt of lightning crackling along its blade as she thrust it towards Darth Malthael's chest in a swift strike. Swish! Darth Malthael effortlessly deflected the attack with the hilt of his lightsaber, then countered with a powerful force wave that sent Darth Lilim flying, blood spattering from her mouth as she was thrown several meters back. Without waiting for a response, Darth Malthael advanced, his lightsaber ready for another strike, embodying the relentless nature of their dark training. Holding the hilt in a posture that was both ordinary and peculiar, Darth Malthael wielded his double-ended lightsaber with only one blade activated. His grip was close to the activated end Suba, effectively using the lengthy hilt as a conventional one-handed lightsaber. What made his stance unusual was his other hand, which gently held the opposite end of the hilt. This technique could have resulted in a clumsy and tangled mess in less skilled hands, but Darth Malthael executed it with a natural grace. Darth Lilim, undeterred by the blood trickling from the corner of her mouth, summoned all her strength and swung her lightsaber with the ferocity of a tempest. The force lightning that clung to her blade slithered and snapped like a venomous serpent, enhancing the lethality of her attacks. She realized that even without employing his formidable death force, Darth Malthael's mastery of the lightsaber was overwhelming. His skill had grown at a terrifying pace, a testament to his innate talent and the rigorous training under Edric. Now, he could dominate her through swordsmanship alone. The realization was a bitter pill for Darth Lilim. She had always taken pride in her swordsmanship, a skill she believed set her apart even as a servant to her master. Yet, in this moment, her pride was shattered, her prowess outmatched by Darth Malthael's superior technique. Despite the humiliation, a sense of resignation washed over her. If her master had indeed surpassed her in every aspect, then she was prepared to meet her end by his blade, serving as a catalyst for his conquest of the galaxy. "You are too weak." Darth Malthael's voice cut through the tension. Darth Lilim's eyes widened in shock, but she quickly raised her lightsaber in defense, barely intercepting a swift strike aimed at her. "Perhaps I've been too lenient with you. Did you think you could lead a life of comfort as my servant, fulfilling my every demand?" Darth Malthael's laughter echoed menacingly. "Look at yourself. You're no different from those pampered Jedi Knights." With each word, he launched another attack, forcing Darth Lilim to retreat. His expression darkened as he continued. "I appointed you to command a fleet, thinking it would satisfy you. But do you understand why I've kept my distance? Your weakness and superficiality repulse me, and yet you still haven't grasped the reason I summoned you here." I'm not," Darth Lilim protested, her voice filled with defiance as she swung her lightsaber to meet his next attack. "This chapter does not exist. Sadly, let's proceed to the next chapter, light. Conversely, if you are in a state of anger or fear, the Force will lean towards darkness. The Force is like a mirror, reflecting your innermost state. Attempting to merge light and darkness within the Force is akin to trying to balance on a razor's edge. It's theoretically possible, but practically unattainable for most." Helmut Zemo bowed slightly, acknowledging the complexity of the Force that Tang Xiao had laid out. "The last communication we received from General Tan was 2 days ago. She mentioned she had found an opportunity but did not disclose her battle plan," he said, returning to the matter at hand. Tang Xiao nodded. "This opportunity she mentioned likely refers to the neutral Galactic Alliance that has recently gained popularity. Windu led the main fleet to the planet Mandalore, not just for the Mandalorians, who are relatively defenseless, but to forge a vast alliance of neutral systems." Zemo interjected. "But, with all due respect, Governor, based on your previous statements, if Chancellor Palpatine is about to attack the Jedi Order, wouldn't it be more strategic to let Windu take control of the neutral Galactic Alliance? Neither we nor Count Dooku can extend our influence in that direction. It might be more advantageous to let Windu ignite a significant rebellion against Palpatine there." Tang Xiao looked at him thoughtfully. "You seem to believe that the Jedi Order, being manipulated by both me and Darth Sidious, is weak. On the contrary, the Jedi Order remains the most formidable force in the galaxy, even now. More importantly, the Force grants the Jedi Order infinite possibilities." Zemo frowned. "I must admit, I don't fully grasp your point." "Let me provide an analogy," Tang Xiao continued. "At the war's outset, Severance Tan's fleet penetrated deep into the Milky Way, appearing nearly invincible. Yet, who could have predicted that Shenjan would emerge from obscurity to not only defeat Tan, but nearly kill her in a direct confrontation? Before this, Shenjan had never led troops in battle, primarily dealing with gangsters." Zemo nodded, absorbing the lesson. "And then there's Obi-Wan Kenobi. He and his master, Qui-Gon Jinn, were initially unable to defeat Darth Maul. Maul killed Qui-Gon Jinn, but somehow Obi-Wan managed to defeat Maul on his own," Tang Xiao added. "This illustrates a crucial point. No matter how severe the blow to the Jedi Order, you must never underestimate them. They still possess the power to strike back." "Is this the foundation upon which the Jedi Order has stood for thousands of years?" Zemo asked, intrigued. "Indeed, the Jedi Order's long history is built on a foundation of exceptional talent, rigorous training, and unwavering belief. These factors, combined with the right opportunity, allow them to unleash their full potential. But that's just the surface, Tang Xiao explained with a smile. The underlying reason for their resilience is the Force itself, which inherently seeks balance. You can manipulate, influence, or even convert most of the Force to one side, but you can never completely eradicate darkness or light. The stronger the darkness grows, the stronger the light becomes, and vice versa. This cycle is unending. Zemo pondered, can light and darkness within the Force be merged? I recall theories from the ancient texts of our Dawn Star, such as the Tao Te Ching. For the Force, the Tao Te Ching represents a basic theoretical direction. The idea of merging light and darkness is seen as the ultimate path. However, once you truly engage with the Force, you'll realize that such a merger is impossible. The Force influences everything about you, and in turn, you influence the Force. To merge light and darkness, you would have to cease all action and thought, essentially stopping your very existence. Is it really that extreme? Zemo asked, skeptical. Yes, Tang Xiao affirmed. Your emotions and actions, even something as simple as breathing, can sway the Force towards light or darkness. The Force mirrors your inner state, making the fusion of light and darkness a near impossible feat for most. In the dimly lit room, Tang Xiao explained the essence of the Force with a clarity that seemed to pierce through the complexities of the universe. When you walk, the stones beneath your feet can make you feel very unhappy, and thus the Force within you may lean towards darkness. This is a simple example. For Jedi Knights and Sith, it's the accumulation of such experiences that systematically influences the Force within them, guiding it to the desired level, Tang Xiao elucidated. Zemo, listening intently, couldn't help but express his skepticism. If that's the case, wouldn't it be impossible for anyone to truly master the Force? Tang Xiao let out a sneer. Hey, since the dawn of countless civilizations in the Milky Way, numerous geniuses have dedicated their lives to unlocking the mysteries of the Force. Yet at best, only one has ever come close, and no one has truly succeeded. So yes, you're right, it seems impossible for anyone to achieve. But, he paused, a slight smile playing on his lips, that's precisely my goal. Zemo's eyes shone with determination as he bowed slightly. I am willing to do everything in my power to help you achieve such a monumental goal. The Milky Way shall be ours. Very good, Tang Xiao nodded in approval. Now let's make some arrangements. I need to speak with Earl Dooku. In another part of the facility, Zhang Jiarui pressed a button, and with a buzzing sound, the indicator lights on the console in front of him turned green. Through the thick, explosion-proof glass, the Thor mecha in the opposite laboratory came to life, its body illuminated by rays of energy. Just a few days prior, the Thor mecha had been a heap of scrap metal on the floor. Now, after extensive repairs, it stood upright, albeit supported by a network of external frames and gantry structures. The damaged armor had been stripped away, revealing the extensively repaired internal framework. This stripped-down version of the Thunder God mecha, with its exposed mechanical innards, appeared more menacing than its fully armored counterpart. While operating the console, Zhang Jiarui explained to the Kuat engineer beside him, "Look, all 24 nodes are lit up, indicating that the energy transmission and compression systems are functioning correctly. Now watch as I press this button," he said, mimicking the sound effects. Snap! He dramatically pressed a red button under a safety cover, but the Thor mecha continued its charging process without any noticeable response. See, at this moment, the energy beam should be illuminating the Kyber crystal array. Whoosh! Whoosh! Zhang Jiarui gestured with his hands, simulating the action. However, beneath the theatrics, a critical detail was amiss. A disconnected wire lay under the red button, unattached to any equipment, rendering the dramatic demonstration somewhat moot.